Montu is a Bollinger and Mabbey inverted coaster at Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay in Tampa, Florida. It opened in 1996 and is themed to the Egyptian falcon god of war. This coaster is famous for all the trenches it is constantly plunging in and out of. It almost seems like half the ride is underground. But before we start, let's go over a few quick stats. Montu has a height of 150 feet, a speed of 60 miles an hour, and a length of 3,983 feet. It also has 7 inversions and has a duration of 1 minute. So with all that said, let's begin. Montu sits in the Egyptian section of Busch Gardens, Tampa. The lift hill runs right along the preferred parking lot. You enter under this giant arch-type Egyptian thing that I have no idea what it is, but I like it. You see the Immelman towering over you with the rest of the ride in front of you. You see the train dive under the pathways and then pop up and soar over you. You can get great views of this coaster, but they're all far away. If you have a camera with a lens, you're fine. But if you're like me and only have a phone, you're kinda screwed because if you zoom in, then the quality of your footage plummets. I've heard that typically the queue is empty and this ride's always a walk-on, but when I went, it had a good 30-minute wait. Maybe that's just because I went a couple of days after Christmas. The queue is a giant cattle pen, so don't expect tons of theming. You enter the station and pick your row, and for the love of God, go back row, left seat. In that seat, you experience crazy whip through all the inversions, and the Batwing hurts, it's so intense. Apparently both Kumba and Montu pull maximum G-force of 3.8, but it feels way more than that. The Batwing is one of the most demented elements ever devised. So with all that said, let's get into the ride layout. You depart the station and enter a right-hand turn going into the lift hill. After a brief ascent, you plunge down your 128-foot drop. You get good whip, get some weightlessness, and then you slam back down with positive Gs. The G-force is consistent going through the loop. You then plunge into a tunnel, bank to the left, and fly through this massive Immelman. Even though this inversion is really intense, it's definitely the most drawn out inversion on the ride. By the way, this coaster has a really weird roar. It has a regular roar, but every now and then you hear banging and clanging and all these weird noises. I don't know how to describe it, so I'll just show you a video. You hit an intense right-hand turn going into your 0G roll. I have no idea how, but somehow, someway, it is consistent positive Gs. Every other 0G roll I've ridden has weightlessness, but not this one. This one has positive Gs. They're not the most powerful positive Gs, but they're good. Technically, since you get positive Gs, shouldn't we call it a 1G roll on this ride or something? I don't know. You also get great whip going through this inversion. You bank left and hit a turbo brake before the Batwing. And that Batwing. This Batwing is bonkers. You curve up and hit the top of the first half loop, which is by far the most intense part. This twist into the Batwing is so unbelievably intense, it's hard to describe the ridiculous amount of force you get twisting over. I sat there writing this script trying to think of a way to describe it for so long, and I couldn't. I have no idea how to describe it. Seriously, this inversion is mental. You rocket into a trench and feel ridiculously strong, consistent G-forces. You then curve out and ascend into the mid-course. The mid-course is placed perfectly because you get a second to contemplate what you just went through. You are just in awe. You whip right and fall into a trench before hitting a super intense vertical loop before ascending into a really drawn out helix. This helix is okay, it's there I guess, it doesn't do much. You whip to the side and bank left while swinging by the pathways. I thought it'd be super intense, but instead, you almost get sideways hang time. It's not bad, but it's something I noticed. Following that, you plunge into another trench before the last inversion on the ride, a corkscrew. This corkscrew goes through 2 different trenches. You start in the first trench, pop out above the ground while you invert and descend into the second trench. Finally, you hit a right turn and glide into the final brakes. This is where you try to comprehend what you just went through. If anyone says that this ride is just an average invert or an okay ride or some crap, don't believe them. This ride is a masterpiece. Busch somehow found a way to combine a high throw coaster with beautiful theming. It's crazy when you think about it. We're whipping through ditches and trenches all while experiencing a fantastic ride. It's insane. When you see theming on a ride, it's always in the queue. It's never during the ride. But Montu switches it up. The queue isn't anything to write home about, but the theming during the ride is so cool. This is seriously a world-class ride and is definitely the best coaster in Florida. And that brings us to my final score, which is obviously a 10. This ride knocks it out of the park in every single category. The theming, the inversions, the intensity, everything is perfect. Thank you guys so much for watching. Apparently only 10% of you guys watching this are subscribed, so do me a favor and like the video and subscribe for more content just like this. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye.